Patrick Ho tells a China Story 10, Sustainable Development and Urbanization. For thousands of years, Chinese society and culture had evolved from a village culture. The Chinese society has been basically agrarian in nature, dependent on agricultural livelihood and products for economic growth. Cities were few and scarce, mainly as places where governments and administration resided, signifying sovereignty and security, for tax collection and imperial examinations, and as places for festival activities, trade and commerce, and cultural interaction. The majority of the population were farmers residing in farms and villages. The traditional Chinese culture places farmers in high esteem and despises merchants who lived in cities and exploiting the hard-working farmers for profits. Historically, urbanization rate in China has been extremely low, way under 10%. In 1949, China's urban population was 57 million and its urbanization ratio was 10.6%. After the founding of New China in 1949, cities or urban areas served the primary function of boosting economic growth by moving peasants into cities to work as industrialization became a national objective. China's urbanization level increased gradually during that period. Since the introduction of the Reform and Opening Up policy in 1978, China became the factories of the world and experienced an ever-accelerating process of urbanization, especially in many coastal cities. From 1978 to 2013, China's urbanization rate has increased rapidly from 17.9% to 53.7% in 35 years. Yet, the urbanization drive in China has now reached a crucial stage where conflicts and unsolved problems, such as valuable arable lands usurped for development, migrant workers lacking urban social welfare services, and environmental woes, are put in front of us to challenge our ideals, pursuits, and dreams of better life, and thus sustainability. There is an urgent need to summarize all our previous accomplishments and experience to shore up our aspirations towards a more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable growth development and translate them into decisions and actions. As economies around the world develop and mature, world's urban population is projected to increase from 3.5 billion to 6.2 billion by 2050, with an overall urbanization rate of 65% around the world, when more and more people flock to cities for employment and better quality of life. It is projected that 95% of such movements will take place in developing countries, and with 90% taking place in China, which urban population will reach 60% by 2020. While urbanization has been shaping and reshaping the hub of economic activities in China, with prefecture level and larger cities contributing over 60% of the GDP, the speed and magnitude of urbanization has presented clear environmental challenges, as the expansion of cities places huge demands on land, water, and environmental resources. Over 85% of China's total water use is attributed to prefecture-level and large cities, and some 90% of the country's industrial CO2 emissions originate from cities. On 16th of March 2014, the Chinese government State Council released the National New Type Urbanization Plan 2014 to 2020, indicating that China will closely concentrate on improving the quality of urbanization to accelerate the transformation of urbanization development. It also emphasized the need for new urbanization pathways. Increasing attention is being given to human-centered urbanization. Efforts are underway to build cities that promote balanced economic growth, link urban and rural economic dynamics, advance social cohesion, and provide public services for all. More and more cities in China are thriving to be centers of excellence for education, for science, research, and innovation, and for cultural activities. Many are spearheading efforts for preservation of green space, low carbon living, and environmental regeneration. But urbanization is not just about cities. It's not just about buildings, but all about people, building people. Urbanization is a process, a transforming process, and a humanization process of turning rural citizens into citizens, turning rural residents into citizens. The new pathways of urbanization rolled out by China addresses this very crucial aspect of human-centered development. Development, as we know, results from a complex interaction of multiple competing considerations, including economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological factors. It is time-specific and also context-specific. Such is the Chinese perspective of sustainability, termed scientific outlook, which constitutes socialism with Chinese characteristics. The new pathway of urbanization rolled out by China provides an overarching theme to incorporate economic, social, environmental development and further enriching it with political and cultural considerations. These constitute the 5 pillars of Chinese perspective and strategy of sustainability and sustainable development. The first pillar is political considerations, which represents people's interests in the broadest sense and include people-oriented strategies, revamping household registration policy, provision of training for migrant workers, reinforcing land use policy, and initiatives coordinated by central and local governments. The second pillar of sustainable development is economics. It includes spearheading growth with modernization of agriculture, information technology, industrialization and city design, economic restructuring concentrating on domestic consumption drivers, infrastructure building, and issuance of local government bonds, including city clusters design and planning. The third pillar is social consideration. Through wealth distribution so that everyone shares fruit of success of economic growth, social security and public services available to all, including medical, housing, education, employment, and welfare. The fourth pillar is cultural, meaning a sustainable lifestyle. President Xi Jinping calls for the principle of frugality and not to waste. In a way, it is a revisit to the traditional Chinese cultural value of a simple lifestyle and moderation, of using less, using efficiently, recycle use, and innovative use. It calls for people to sacrifice personal convenience for the common goods, such as using public transportation, smaller living quarters while utilizing more of public spaces. Indeed, for urbanization to be successful in the long run, citizens' lifestyle has to be sustainable. The last pillar is ecological, aiming for a beautiful China through initiatives to increase renewable energy use, green buildings, improving air quality, promoting the use of public transportation, and improving water treatment. China's new type urbanization plan is China's initiative to advance sustainable cities. This plan centers around people and not buildings or cities, aiming to make rural residents into citizens. With enhancement of quality of life through the provisions of security and dignity, and a basis for personal growth and higher pursuits. It emphasizes sustainability as a lifestyle, and as such represents a determined effort for modernization of a nation and of a people. For the past 200 years, the aspiration and pursuits of the Chinese people has been to be able to catch up with the world's pace of modernization, to transform the backward agricultural country into a sophisticated industrial nation, accomplishing a modernized China. The new pathway to urbanization provides the very basis to realize this China dream, which is a common dream shared by 1.4 billion Chinese people. It is the path to China's modernization and rejuvenation, and a dream that truly connects China with the rest of the world. This was a speech entitled New Pathway to Urbanization and Sustainability, Initiatives by China in Advancing Sustainable Cities, delivered by Dr. Patrick Ho at the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development on the 8th of July 2014 at the United Nations headquarters in New York, USA. This is a China Story 10 on sustainable development and urbanization.